Okay, so this just blew my mind about what this story actually meant, because I thought it was just this one dude on Twitter, but Dana was responding to Top Rank saying that Endeavor is buying Top Rank.
Bob Arum is a piece of fucking shit. Good night, everybody.
Oh my God, I swear to God, I could watch that clip 100,000 times and I will laugh every single time. All right, in this video, we got a bunch of Dana White conversations to have, because we had a story the other night that was such a massive, barn-burning, blockbuster story that in the 5 minutes that I thought it was accurate, or at the very least before it was disputed by Dana White and the UFC, it ripped around the world at lightning speed on Christmas. On Christmas. That's how big of a story this was. And Dana came out and denied it, and I want to talk about what that story was, because it was massive. So massive, in fact, that Dana slammed the people who said it on Christmas. He couldn't let there be a minute of anybody believing this, because it would have been that big a deal. But also now I want to talk about where the story came from, because some very credible sources reported it and then had to retract it. And it was about UFC acquiring an incredibly notable promotional organization, boxing promotion. So I want to talk about that. I want to show you what Dana said about it. I'll show you where the story actually came from when it was re-reported, and we'll talk about that. And then also, there's a new story about the the Dana White replacement plan. Okay, so this is, I don't know, man. I'm reading more about this, and this is they definitely had concerns about potentially replacing Dana White when they acquired the company. All right, so I want to go through that article after we talk about the story that got exposed as being not real, but how huge it would have been had it been real. So that's what we're going to do. If you're gonna go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Here is all my content. It's in this bowl. You can have all of it. You just have to click one button, and that is subscribe, and then it's all yours. Or you can steal it, and that would be super, super rude. Now, one of the main reasons I never call myself a journalist is because first of all, it's not what I am. But also, I don't want to be responsible for breaking a story that ends up not being true, like this, as an example. I just talk about stories that are out in the public, and I don't, what I mean? It's all right, okay, so it didn't end up being true. I just said that I was reading it right here. I told you my source. Even when I know something, like as an example, that Ian Gary is not going to fight before anyone else knows, I still said, I'm hearing rumors. I didn't even state it as a fact. You know what I mean? Because of this exactly. So the story that happened on Christmas was that Endeavor was buying Top Rank Boxing. That came out on Spinning Backfist, who is normally bulletproof on Twitter. And I was like, oh my God, this is the biggest story ever. Because had it been true, obviously, UFC would have been getting into boxing, buying Top Rank, and there was a bunch of reasons for why they were doing it. Anyway, I'm going to show you guys this clip, and then I will talk a little bit more about it. So this is where it originally came from. So Rick Glazer, I shouldn't even be doing this, because this was a fake story that got re-reported. So in case you guys are not reading this, promised everyone a Christmas gift, never printed, never talked about, biggest boxing news in many years, boxing powerhouse. Top Rank is in the final due diligence stage of being sold to entertainment conglomerate Endeavor, headed by Ari Emanuel. Endeavor is the parent company of UFC and WWE, translated after, okay, bottom line, Rick Glazer, some kind of boxing promoter guy, was saying that Endeavor was acquiring Top Rank. All right, and this went viral instantly for obvious reasons. Okay, now I'm just going to fast forward to what Dana said, because Dana within 10 minutes dropped this on the world, because he's like, yeah, absolutely not true. We are not buying Top Rank. Okay. Now, and this was reported by Top Rank News too, dude. What on earth? So Top Rank, wow. I don't know what this even means, dude. Top Rank actually reported this. Okay, so this just blew my mind about what this story actually meant, because I thought it was just this one dude on Twitter, but Dana was responding to Top Rank saying that Endeavor is buying Top Rank. So that's really crazy. Yeah, so I mean, we were assuming that this is probably not true, but I don't know, man. Maybe someone leaked this. I don't know. There's no way. Dude, there's no way that Dana would have said we are absolutely positively not buying Top Rank, but it's super weird that Top Rank actually reported this. Do you know what I mean? I like, honest to God, when I started recording this, I didn't realize Top Rank had actually reported this themselves. But nonetheless, I mean, can you imagine if that would have been real? If Zuffa Boxing was instantaneously real, except it was Zuffa Boxing plastered on top of what was Top Rank, that would have been absolutely bananas, right? But it's not true, apparently. So, I don't know. I'm sure Dana's like, I would imagine he has extraordinarily little tolerance for stuff like this, because he responded to this very, very quickly, and that's just what it is. Now, just to close the loop on this, because I just wanted to make 100% sure, I already recorded everything, and I was like, let me just look into this a little bit more, make sure that I'm not missing a huge story, and here is what we got, all right? So Bob Arum also commented on this. This is a pretty notable comment. So Bob Arum texted TRT Boxing, and I'm sorry, he texted the author of this, or the journalist that wrote this, and he said, it is totally crazy shit. This is Bob Arum. I have not talked about this with anyone. We are not for sale. I have no intention to retire. Having too much fun. So that is also hilarious, because now I realize Top Rank is Bob Arum. I didn't even put that together, dude. I didn't even put that together. The Top Rank is owned by Bob Arum. If you guys don't recall why that's funny. So yeah, in case you don't remember this quote, this is my favorite moment. I have a million moments of Dana's that I thought were amazing. This is my favorite. On an ESPN press conference, let's watch Dana discuss Bob Arum. This is what you do if you are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You say whatever you want. Watch this.
Played out, but I heard Bob Arum fucking little bitch crying about it. Fuck him. I had to throw that in there. I fucking hate that guy. Anyway.
Did you see his fight, not to bitch on Bob Arum, but he said that, I've lost so much money on Terence Crawford, I could build a house in Beverly Hills or something? Like,
you imagine if I said that? Are you fucking kidding me? You guys would murder me if I said that. I'd never hear the end of that. That's what you do. That's not his fucking problem. That's your problem. His problem isn't to figure out how you make money. You fucking signed a deal with this kid. Your job is to promote him. Your job is, you made a deal. All these kids that I signed, and if you look right now at all the kids that we signed and how many people we have on our roster is very inflated right now. We have a very, very big roster, the biggest roster we've ever had in the history of the company. I have to pay all these kids. How I pay them is not their fucking problem. It's my fucking problem. And this guy wants to go. Imagine me saying, I got to pay Conor McGregor fucking this much money. I could have built a house in Beverly Hills. Shut the fuck up, you fucking scumbag. Pay your fucking fighter what you owe him. That's your job. Bob Arum is a piece of fucking shit. Good night, everybody.
Oh my God. I swear to God, I could watch that clip 100,000 times and I will laugh every single time, dude. It's so great. He's like my favorite part is when he's like, I just had to throw that in there. Fuck him. Oh my God, that is the best clip ever. So let's move over to the other story that I wanted to cover about Dana, because this again is about the story about them potentially replacing him, right? That we talked about before. So in this document or these emails, whatever this was, where they were talking about how, they need a replacement plan when they acquired UFC. I'm talking Endeavor. And by the way, Endeavor acquired UFC for 4.5, I believe, 4.5 billion, and now it's worth 3 times that. Everyone was like, this is insane. this is absolutely insane that they're paying this much. And boom, look at them now, tripled the value. So anyway, but I wanted to go through this and talk to you guys about the concerns that they had. So here you go. It's like they emphasized a concern about risks and mitigants about, so like, okay, are we going to acquire this company? Here are things that we're concerned about. One of them being CTE and White's future as an executive. So the CTE thing has to do with the stuff that the NFL is dealing with, right? Like, so the NFL has been dealing with, lawsuits, so on and so forth. And they're talking about here that no fighter has never been diagnosed with CTE, which is ludicrous, obviously, right? Obviously ludicrous. Of course they have CTE. But reading this right here, it says that is now CTE has not formally been diagnosed in a UFC fighter, though one well-traveled Octagon vet, Gary Goodrich, said a doctor had diagnosed him with the disease despite the fact that it can't be definitively found until a person has died. So really what we're talking about here is you're just talking about it's such a young sport that they have not had enough dead brains for them to look through. But at the same time, and also they're talking about Babalu and Spencer Fisher have revealed their struggles with trauma believed to be linked to CTE. We obviously know about the Phil Baroni stuff. Apparently he couldn't even remember where he was going. This is like before he beat a girl, allegedly beat a girl to death in Mexico. So, I mean, listen, dude, like, as far as this particular issue goes, aside from whether they're going to acquire the company or not, to me, the ethical thing to do is to just be honest about the risks of CTE. And that's it. I mean, it's just as simple as that, man. It's like, look, these are the risks. This is exactly what Dana said. He said it's the safest sport in the world when you've got two healthy athletes stepping into the octagon, compete against one another. In recent months, he's taken similar tack with Power Slap, touting pre-bout medical screenings and official oversight during the match as a way to lessen the danger of injury. Medical experts have expressed grave concerns for the well-being of slap participants. I mean, listen, dude. White also acknowledged that MMA isn't kickball. I mean, if anybody is not aware that CTE is real at this point, it's like, guys, come on, dude. Like, if you're going to put yourself in harm's way, if you're an adult, like it's your responsibility to understand the risks of the thing that you're taking on, It's not the UFC's responsibility to tell people what to do with their body. This is America, man. You can do what you want to do. And I would imagine that these independent contractor contracts definitely indemnify the UFC from people coming after them. Otherwise, people would have sued them a long time ago, right? So, but that's definitely something that an acquiring company is going to concern themselves with, because at the end of the day, a company is the most predictable organism in the world because they are driven by what? They're driven by money, right? So if you look at a person and a person is doing this, that, or the other, you don't know what their motivations are. You have no idea what their real incentive is. You think you might know, but you don't. You know what I mean? And I've talked about this like for my own channel all the time. It's like you can look at this creator and this creator. They seem to be doing the same thing. And for all intents and purposes, they are doing the same thing. But if they have different goals, then one might think they're competing against the other, and the other's like, we're not competition, man. Like, why not? I want to be the biggest, whatever. Okay, yeah, but like I'm using this as a launching pad into something completely different. I don't care if I'm the biggest here at all. So like, maybe we're competing at some level, but like we're trying to go different places. But a corporation that's looking to acquire a combat sports, a combat sports company, as an example, you know exactly what their incentive is. It is to take something of value, increase revenue, increase growth, and then become more valuable. And you do that by increasing the number of people that are consuming your product and increasing the revenue associated with that while limiting your costs as much as possible. Now, what would fall into costs that we're talking about here? Lawsuits. Changes in the industry in general that are going to make the running the sport much more expensive than you're anticipating. So lawsuits, people coming in and putting regulations in place that cost the company more money. So of course they're going to be concerned about CTE, and of course they're going to be concerned about the antitrust lawsuit, which is, still kind of hanging over the head of of the organization, you know? So now here's another thing they had to talk about here. So the UFC CEO White has defended the promotion's pay to fighters. So fighter pay obviously is another one. Touted its safety record, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so but the thing that I wanted to talk about here was about fighters currently suing the UFC now CEO. Where is the thing about replacing Dana White? I'm trying to find it because there was something else in there about it. Yeah, I mean, all of these were just discussion points, essentially. Kickball, email address, the competition with the UFC, which is likely why it was included as an exhibit in the antitrust lawsuit, which could go to trial in April 2024. Richard wrote, there were small operators around the world promoting MMA, but he also noted that while technical barriers to entry were relatively low, practical barriers to entry are extremely high. So what? UFC controls the best fighters on staggered contracts and has the revenue model providing ability to pay fighters the most in the market by far. Right. Richard also noted the risk of decentralization, or that the best fighters go the way of boxing, individual promotions, and pay-per-view, we think is limited. Right. Yeah. I mean, so this honestly, these are all these gotchas, you know, that I'm kind of like, now I realize I'm kind of like deviating from the original topic, which was them potentially replacing Dana White. But my personal opinion is they would be irresponsible if they did not have what's the right way to put this? A plan in place to replace him in the event that he wanted to leave, or in the event that something crazy happened and they had to replace him. So think about that. Think about that for a second. So we find out that they have contingency plans for replacing Dana, and that the brass at Endeavor or in the investment groups that are funding Endeavor, whatever, are like, we need to know how we're going to replace Dana. So we read that and they're like, oh, we're getting rid of him. No, not necessarily. What that could mean is that, well, what it for sure would mean either way is we can't operate responsibly if the entire organization hinges on the participation of one person. What happens if a plane, it's a $12 billion company, and if a plane crashes and Dana dies, the entire thing goes up in smoke? That is so wildly irresponsible. That can't be the case. A company the size of UFC, which is generating the money that UFC is, cannot have a single individual choke point where a car accident can derail a $12 billion company. That cannot be the case. They have to have a replacement for Dana, and a replacement plan has to be in place for a multi-billion dollar company like that. It would be the most wildly irresponsible thing in corporate history to not at least have a succession plan in the event that something happened to Dana or Dana left.
Did you see how sexy Sydney Sweeney looked at the MTV Music Awards?
Oh my God, she's delicious.
The body positivity chicks are super pissed because they say it's so unattainable.
Pretty sure she attained it.
I think it's better to teach our daughters that things they want can be worked for, or that they are so unattainable that they should just complain about it.
I can't.
How come no one ever thinks about the guys that want to have sex with her and she's unattainable, huh? So what, we're only supposed to care about fat girls' feelings, not boys? Gabi, did you see?
This is my favorite reel of all time, not even being biased that I'm the one that made it. Check it.
Let's get down to business. Gabrielle, misinform everyone on here like you just misinformed our children about evolution.
Oh, God.
I always believed evolution was real until this conversation right now. Gabi, in all seriousness, tell the people, hey, where did chickens evolve from?
Dinosaurs.
Specifically.
T-Rex.
Could you speak up? Because I thought you said T-Rex.
I did.
T-Rex.
Yeah.
Evolved into a chicken.
Yes.
T-Rex from Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Evolved into a chicken.
Yes.
So why didn't T-Rex have feathers, Gabrielle?
The dinosaurs after T-Rex had feathers.
They did? Which
You
ones?
didn't go straight from T-Rex to the chicken.
Oh, I know, but what's the name of the dinosaur that had feathers?
It's true.
What do you guys think?